So the presentation I am sharing with you is actually a presentation that I was hired to give this summer um, to Cengage Learning audience. And just so you know, I'm going to share the same presentation just because it's easier, but also to kind of talk a little bit about audiences. I know we're talking about listening later today, and I will be having us talk about listening, and we'll be talking about audiences a little bit more on Thursday, but consider this kind of a preview. So one of the things you have to think about when you're creating your material is how is this important to this particular audience? So this audience that I delivered this to were sales reps. These were all sales representatives. So all the sales representatives across Cengage Learning, I created a little video and they watched my video. It was like a 10-15 minute video. And that's how long this presentation will be, where we talk about how to use Zoom to present information. And so I thought, well, one of the things they're going to be curious about is they want to understand, they want to know how to use the features on Zoom, and they want to understand like what's a good way to present on Zoom. And they're very practical. They're not really that interested in a lot of the theory behind stuff. They just want to do things and be able to do it right. So it's kind of looked at it as a crash course. And I think that you guys are very similar in that way, because going forward, we're going to be all using Zoom a lot, I think, for the next year. And it's better if you're able to use it and think about it from the perspective of if you ever have a job interview, and given that we will be doing a mock interview in this class, this information I'm going to provide you will be helpful for you in preparing that assignment. Okay, so see what I just did? I just kind of tried to tailor this to my audience. Why does my audience care? You care because this will help you with the mock interview assignment, because you probably will be providing a short presentation about yourself during that mock interview. Okay, so the learning objectives for this video was understanding how to create student and instructor engagement via Zoom, and how to best use the Zoom features in the context of Start Strong. And their Start Strong process was kind of an initiative to make sure that they could help instructors get ready for the semester. So the first thing I talked about, and I will tell you, is that Zoom fatigue is real. We've been there, done that. Novelty's worn off. We didn't even get a t-shirt. We've been doing this long enough that it has become tired, and we have become tired of it. So there's reasons behind this. There's biological reasons behind this, actually. Zoom and any kind of computer-mediated communication is physically exhausting. Why? Because we're sitting in one place and we're not moving. And that's not what our bodies are meant to do. Our bodies are meant to move. And when we sit in one place, we get achy, we get tired. It's hard to concentrate physically, and we actually can find ourselves physically getting our eyes getting tired. So one of the remedies here that I'll talk about is how important it is to take little Zoom breaks, and that's why I try to switch it up. That's why this presentation is only 15 to 20 minutes long, because I don't want to ask you to focus on one thing for any given time. It's also mentally exhausting, because focusing and paying attention over Zoom is actually harder, because we're only looking at one modality. Like, I want you to think about being in a room. When you're in a room, you're looking around, you're seeing and touching and maybe smelling, and like physically you're in the space. We're not in the space, we're in a virtual space. And so mentally, we have to concentrate harder because we have all these distractions around us. And also our brains aren't used to just focusing on that one little thing. And so it's tiring both physically and mentally. So how do we stay engaged and focused? We've got home distractions. We've got distractions in our home that we may not even, have anyone else know about, right? One of the things that I like to do is to have a virtual background, because that helps keep my distractions in my home not distracting you. Now, some of you don't have virtual backgrounds because your computer doesn't have that facility, but like if I didn't have my virtual background and you saw, let's see, I can't change from out of the virtual background while I'm presenting, but at any rate, if when I share off of the virtual background, I'll show you, if my cat was in the background, although it's cute, it's distracting, right? Home distractions can also distract you. So even though you don't see stuff behind me because I have my virtual background on, I do. So if my dog suddenly decided that he wanted to go chase the cat, I'd have an issue. And some of us have little ones at home that distract us, little maybe siblings or younger or children of our own, or things that are going on in the background like construction, whatever, that can be distracting to us. There's also video distractions. Like I know Lindsay is having a really hard time with her Wi-Fi and she can't, pay attention as easily if that's happening. And that might be happening to other people as well. So the end result is that Zoom calls feel long, L-O-N-G. So how do we cope within that constraint? The first thing is Zoom delivery is very different. Eye contact is weird, okay? If I look at you, like right now, I'm looking at one of the students in this class, okay? So I'm looking at you, Matt. It does not look like I'm looking at you. It looks like I'm looking maybe, or how about this? I'm looking at you, Patrick. Does not look like I'm looking at you. It looks like I'm looking up in the middle of nowhere, right? Now it might feel like I'm looking at you because I'm looking at the camera. So that is the counterintuitive weird thing about Zoom is that you actually, to make the audience feel like you're looking at them, you have to not look at them. Very weird, right? So one of the things that I would encourage you to do if you're presenting over Zoom is it's kind of like flipping the script. You look at the camera and then you sneak peeks at people, right? So I'm looking at the camera and then I'm sneaking a peek, right? So now I'm looking at you and I can see, oh, I can see you, Max. Oh, I can see you, Josh, right? But I'm looking at the camera as my main default. The other thing we need to be aware of with Zoom is that flow and transitions, irony there, flow and transitions will be choppy. They just will be. It's a fact of life. You will have to wait for awkward pauses because people have to hunt for their mute button. People are thinking. You've got a lot longer lag, just technologically wise, than you do in real life. So give it space. Even if it feels awkward to you, that's just part of the mechanism of this type of modality, of this communication. The other thing to think about with delivery is what's in your frame, right? You want to pay attention to what people see when they look at you. Okay, so I'm just going to stop sharing for a second, and I'm going to stop showing my virtual background, and I'm just going to show you, okay, so this is my room, right? And that's fine. I have good lighting. I think that there's nothing super distracting in my background, but you need to think about that because what you look at, like if I were over here, there might be too much backlit, right? So you want to think about things like that. Like how far away are you from the camera? Are you in shadows? I've moved my camera up from being farther away because if I was farther away, you wouldn't be able to see me as well. And the lighting is bad. So you have to really think about things like that when you are, when you're presenting. So technologically, figuring out what's in your frame and what people see is really, really important. So virtual backgrounds are one way to kind of avoid the distractions at the back. I've already kind of talked about that. And so I want you to think about if you're able to do that. Not everybody is. I know that sometimes the software won't work. The virtual backgrounds are chosen by down at the bottom when I'm not screen sharing. You can see it. There's an option with a little arrow. You can click that and it'll allow you to pick a virtual background. And then you can pick any picture you want. So I have a whole library of pictures that I have gotten from all over the place. Like here's someone from Colombia, because that's where my family's from, and I love Colombia. I have a cute one of a dog. Probably not a great choice because it's kind of distracting, and if I move my head, like you're like, why is she in front of the dog, right? A nice picture of the Martha's Vineyard. There's also sets that you can get. That probably is a lot distracting, so I may not use that one. But there's sets you can get from the BBC website. These are all pictures from the BBC website from different sets of shows. Some of you may recognize this one if you're a Doctor Who fan like me. And, so images. Some images are better than others, right? Like, I don't know, you might want to think about not, having something that's really depressing or distracting behind you. Pictures with other people in them, probably not a good choice. But you can find all sorts of different images. I took this picture. It was just a really beautiful day and I took it. And now I'm in the middle of the road, but that's okay. You know, there are so many different types of pictures you can get. If you want to aspire, when we are doing our speeches in class, if you want to aspire to being, speaking from the White House, go for it. Here's a nice background picture of 4Cs that I use when I'm moderating college meeting. So the pictures that you can use are endless. You can get all sorts of different virtual backgrounds, but it only works if you actually have that background. Now, some of you may have as a background option that it says, oh, you can use it with a green screen. What happens if you don't have a green screen is that it doesn't really work. You see, for some reason, it's only working in one side of over here in the back of my wall. I don't know why. That's kind of interesting, right? It's creating all these things in the back of my wall. So you can actually change the colors and so forth. Like you can say, oh, I want it to be like that. And then that's another kind of equally poor choice. That's not really going to record well. So, so what I would recommend you do is if you are going to use, if your software doesn't allow it, I would go find a green screen, which is basically like you could get a cheap green tablecloth from the dollar store and just put it up behind you. And now you have a green screen. Or a cheap, I think even a cheap blue one works too, like blue, like not a super dark blue, but not a super light blue, but like the kind of blue that's in the sky, a typical blue, beautiful blue sky. That also can work. And so then now you have a green screen if you wanted to not show your background. So I digress. All right, so second point of Zoom delivery I want to talk to you about is Zoom features. So I already showed you polling earlier today. Polling is a great way to kind of engage people. And so you find the polls down there if you were actually using polls on your own. I'm going to go over these kind of quickly because you're not necessarily going to be using all these features, but it's good to know about them. You can then end polling and share the results as you saw earlier today. And there's lots of other features in Zoom that are important, like you can use nonverbals, and you do that by clicking on participants, okay? And then within participants, down at the bottom, those are what's called nonverbals. Yes, no. If I'm ever going too fast, you could click go slower. If I'm ever going too quickly, which I doubt I will ever do because I tend to speak very quickly, you can click go faster. And then as a person facilitating, I can clear everyone. So I haven't cleared anyone from your green check marks yet. You'd have to do that if you want to ask for more nonverbals. You can clap, right? You can raise your hands. You can chat. I think the chat feature we've used pretty extensively, so I don't need to go into too much detail on that. And then there are breakout rooms, which we've been using in class. So the key is with all of this is to make it short because of all we talked about in terms of Zoom being very exhausting and distracting. We're going to do frequent check-ins to make sure people are okay. One of the things that they recommend you do is after every 20 minutes, you take a 20-second break, an eye break for eye fatigue, and you look 20 feet away or 10 feet away. So let's go ahead and do that right now. I'm going to set my little timer, and I'm going to have you guys look away from the screen for 20 seconds. And you can fix your eye on something that's like 10 feet away, okay? Ready? Go. Okay, now we're done. So did you notice how much better your eyes might feel? You may not have even noticed the eye strain, but looking at a screen for a long time actually creates some eye strain. And looking away at something natural, it makes our eyes relax a bit. So that's a helpful thing to know about. In Zoom, we've got to be prepared for silence. It's a lot, it could be unnerving as a speaker to have people be quiet, but everyone's muting themselves. There's a funny Saturday Night Live skit I watched the other day where it was like the pastor of a church. It was the Mother's Day episode in May. And the pastor of a church is getting all mad because everybody's going, hey, amen, amen. And he's like, would you guys stop? Could you please mute yourselves? And then when they finally do, he's like, I can't handle the silence. We all have to learn how to handle the silence. Unfortunately, it's just a reality. And that's different from in face-to-face kind of communication, isn't it? So you'd be responding at least right now if it were face-to-face. So we're also going to allow for participation in chat so that you guys can talk and participate instead of having to talk and unmute yourselves. And then one of the things that I like to do too is Q&A, call on people directly if nobody's saying anything, because at least then you do get some participation and people, learn to be accountable and understand what I'm saying. So that's important way to get engagement. So that is my short kind of crash course in Zoom features and communicating over Zoom and public speaking over Zoom. I hope you found it useful. Some of it you may have already known, but it is something that is important for us to consider given the fact that so many of our courses are taking place using this remote features.